Welcome back, guys. This is my spoiler review for the first episode of Season 3 of Barry. So, Barry is back, and Bill Hader is, once again, just exceptional in this role. He is so intense and broken and damaged as this kind of disillusioned hitman. This hitman that doesn't want to be a hitman anymore. And this episode, there's no him wanting to be an actor. He is just completely broken, and he's kind of at a darker place than we've ever really seen him, which makes a lot of sense. Season 2 ends with the most explosive, horrible, brutal mass murder, like the biggest massacre he's done by a long stretch. He just goes absolutely savage. It's really horrible, really violent, and so it kind of makes sense that the character is kind of at this stage and at this kind of point in his life. We get a lot of kind of like flashes of like, you know, Sally talking, and then bloody the Fonz talking, and they're like, they get shot, and you kind of know something's wrong because you don't hear like a bang. You just kind of go, it's like a really kind of quiet one. I guess it could be with a silencer, but it has this kind of bit like, whoa, and they keep talking, and the blood drips out of their heads. So he's hallucinating, shooting all his friends and loved ones and all this stuff. I recently just rewatched all of season 1 and 2 to kind of, you know, refresh my memory of it all, and it is very, very funny, but I had forgotten how completely dark and morbid and awful and like terrible it is at times. Like, it's quite a tragic story. Like, it's very, very funny at times. Like the little karate girl, that whole karate episode, just peak hilarity. But for a lot of it, it's really kind of awful. It's really sad. He does some despicable murders. He's a despicable character, Barry, and I kind of forgot how kind of broken he is from his time in the war, all those flashbacks, and the way he's kind of, you know, been molded into this killer, and the way he just kind of can't escape it. And that first opening scene where the guy's like, oh, I'm gonna forgive Jeff, I'm not gonna kill him, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be a fun, quirky, like, oh, we were gonna kill you, but now we're not gonna kill you. Then he's just like, bang, bang, and just kills them, both of them, the client and the target, and it's just like, oh man, this show doesn't hold any punches. It's just savage and brutal, and it's classic HBO. They're just like, yeah, the main character is just a monster. It's just like a bad guy. And I love the way that the three main characters, they're all kind of awful people in different ways. Like Barry, he's right in the middle. He's trying to get out of the game, but he can't seem to get out of the game. And he's a psychopath. And he's trying to deal with this and come to terms with it and change. He's kind of right in the middle. Then we have Hank on one end, who is the most likable character in the show. He's friendly. He's nice. He's super, super nice. And he's just like a really fun, energetic character. He's lively and bubbly, and he's the energy and the type of person you want to be around. Like, of all the characters in the show, he's the one I'd want to go have a beer with. He's the one I'd want to be my friend, but he's a criminal. He's a murderer. Like, he's part of this world of just evil, awful people. And then you kind of spin that like on the other side, and you have Sally, who is not a murderer, the only not murderer that's like a main character, and she's awful. I loathe her character. I didn't even realize how much I hated her till I rewatched it. I remember not liking, like loving her, but on a rewatch, despise her character. She's so narcissistic. She's so egotistical. She's so selfish, but she's also just so mean to others. Like, if she can get something, she's gonna claw her way up, but she's gonna push everyone down to get there. And in this episode, it's no different. I was hoping it's like, oh, she's got a big show. She's got a big show. We get a completely disillusioned, just like completely don't know what's going on executive. Hilarious, amazing scene, great stuff. But then, you know, Sally's just back to her usual, just pushing everyone down, making everyone feel like they're not worthy and that she's just the best. Oh, I'm just the best. Oh, la la la. And you think, or I was hoping maybe, oh, she's got a show. She's gonna kind of maybe become a bit nicer as a character. But no, she's the most unlikable character in the whole show. Her energy and vibe is just the anti-Hank. Every time Hank's on screen, I'm just like having fun. And it's fun. Even though they're talking about killings and murders and all this crazy stuff, he's got this really bizarre energy, and it totally works for this kind of, you know, dark comedy, you know, kind of vibe. But her character, every single time she's on screen, I'm just kind of like, just despise her. Like, the way she treats her best friend in this episode is just classic Sally. She hasn't changed. I presume she's gonna get worse. And honestly, that moment we get the fake gunshot where she's like bleeding, I was like, oh, awesome. They're gonna start this season by killing off the most unlikable character, and we're not gonna have to deal with her anymore. And then Barry's gonna have to come to terms with it all. It was just her faults and all this stuff. And then I was like, oh no, she's still talking. I shouldn't be disappointed she's not dead. Like that, I think they've gotten to a point now where her character is so unlikable that, I don't know, they're gonna have to change something. Or I guess that's the point. She's meant to be unlikable like everyone else. And I don't know, her juxtaposition with Hank, the way that she's not a murderer and he is, but he's likable and she's not, is kind of an interesting statement. But I find her just so unlikable. And now she's in the Hollywood. She's got her own show. It's just gonna get worse. I find her so rude. The way she treats her best friend, who totally doesn't deserve that, even though she's super awkward and weird. And just the way she just is in this series. Like, just every time I see her now, having just binged season 1 and 2, I'm just kind of like, oh, I just dislike her vibe. And it sounds so hippy-dippy. I just don't vibe with her energy and her just being. Like, she just is a really unlikable character. She's very, very human. And so, you know, I do understand the character. I feel like we've all met that type of person. But, you know, the one thing I'll have to give credit is the actress is killing it. This is absolutely what they want from the character. So she's absolutely doing an amazing job, but just the character is now getting to the point. I don't think I realized how much I hate her until I was like, oh, thank God they've killed her. And it was almost like a fist bump moment. And then I'm like, oh no, that is absolutely not the reaction that I'm meant to have. Like, surely it's not, right? I would be super curious. What do people think of Sally Reid? Am I like totally kind of by myself with hating her, or is she kind of generally despised? I'd just be super curious because, yeah, I was very surprised when I binged all of season 1 and 2 in the last week, how much I loathed her and how many times I'm just like, you know, there are points I'm like, oh, actually, you know, she's actually not that bad. And then Barry gets an audition and she just loses it and has this huge monologue where we just stay on it. She's just screaming at Barry how it's not fair and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh, just so unlikable. And I was really hoping maybe something's going to change. But no, this episode, almost immediately, she talks to her friend and she's just like, don't talk, never talk, make my snack. I love that Hank is with Christopoulos, the other criminal gangster man. I forgot his name. I think I've said it wrong. I'm sorry about that. But I just love that they're together. In the second season, there was definitely bits where it was like, oh, I love you. He's like, oh, I love you. But I like that they've taken the plunge and they're like, no, he's gay. They're in a relationship. And I really, really like that. I think it's going to create some really fun tension with it all. I mean, we already have where Barry rocks up and he's like, Barry, I don't want to kill you, but my boyfriend does. Oh no, shenanigans. You know, the way that Hank can make it all seem fun and just lively and just amazing. Just his performance is so infectious. It's so fun. He's such a great character. It's so great to have Barry back just for him. I think he's easily the standout. I don't think that's a questionable thing to say. I don't think that's a big call. I think most people would agree. He's just exceptional. It's this kind of show that's like a comedy, but it's also got this dark, tragic, kind of brutal side to it. It needs him. Like, without him, the show doesn't work, I don't think. Like, I think it's too dark and it tries to be too fun, whereas he kind of somehow blends it together in just this exceptional performance. And yeah, honestly, that's my favorite part of Barry being back, is that Hank is back and he's just a super, super nice guy and I love it. Fuchs is in hiding out in the mountains, and that's a little bit of fun. Nothing really happens. He's just out in the mountains wishing he had streaming services, and all I kept thinking is, yeah, as someone who's watching a streaming service right now, I would hate if I was stuck in the mountains somewhere and I couldn't watch the new episode of Barry. I'd be devastated. At the start of the episode, there's a bit where Barry's on the couch and he's like, I've done the murders, but I'm all sad and depressed and I can't get out of this rut, and he's trying to play the video game and the controller doesn't work. Then suddenly the song Africa starts playing and it transitions to another scene where it's just kind of a radio song playing in the background. But just to kind of clue you in with how my brain works, as soon as the Africa song started playing, I'm like, doom, 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 and I'm like, oh my God, we're going to get a sweet montage to the song Africa where Barry's trying to figure out how to put the controller back. We're going to get this sweet, sweet montage. But no, it's just the song playing in the background on a radio. Super disappointed. Just couldn't shake that for a little while. Thank God Hank appeared very quickly on screen, was able to distract me from my utter disappointment that we didn't get her trying to fix the controller. No, I can't get out of this rut. I'm playing video games montage to Africa, which I think would have been amazing, and I felt like I was setting it up, but they weren't. So yeah, that's my only negative. So the big, juicy, meaty, just intense part of the episode comes at the end where bloody Mr. Fonz, he's like, he has that whole thing at the end of last season, which is the big kind of Hank opening the diary and being like, oh my God, Walter White. You know, the big kind of reveal is like, Barry killed my lover, he killed my wife, my girlfriend, whatever she was, you know. He's the love of his life. She killed him, and it's already been revealed, which seemed crazy. I'm like, oh, is this show not going to have as many seasons as I thought they might kind of want to have? It seems kind of quite endgamey for him to, you know, have a confrontation with him. So I thought, oh, they're going to, you know, put on the back burner. And they kind of almost hint that they're going to, where they're like, actually, no, it's the other guy. It's Fuchs, the Raven, as they call him, which is a really fun name. But no, he knows. Fonz, you can't pull one over him. He knows it's Barry, and he confronts him, and it's really intense, because I'm like, okay, Barry's not going to die because the show's called Barry, but like, he can totally die. I can't believe this confrontation is already happening. It was so brutal, so intense. And then that way he pulls the gun up, but then it just collapses because it's a prop gun from like some of his film acty buddies or whatever. Just that perfect level of like, utterly tragic and horrifying, but then incredibly funny, morbidly hilarious, and just peak Barry, that moment of the gun just rolling and touching him, and then when the way he jumps up, I thought it was just going to cut and we'd never see him again. But then he's out in the desert in beautiful Breaking Bad style shots, and he's got the gun to him. We see another fake gun thing, totally thought he killed him, really horrific stuff, but then I was like, of course, no, they're not going to do this. And then he's like, I can fix this, I can make it all better. Have no idea what he's talking about, but that kind of deranged smile where he's like, I can fix this, get back in the trunk, baby, I can fix this. Intense, amazing, super excited that he didn't kill him. At the start of the episode, the way he killed those two people, I'm like, okay, oh no, now he's going to kill bloody Fonz. They're going to kind of go into this really dark place with Barry Season 3. And I kind of feel like the decision not to kill him and to kind of use him and to have Barry kind of try and, be forgiven and, be worthy of forgiveness is a really, really interesting story element, because he's absolutely not worthy of forgiveness. Killing the cop at the end of Season 1, irredeemable. Crazy irredeemable. I was surprised while rewatching Season 1 and 2 how many times, like when he kills his friend, because his friend's like, oh, I've got to go to the cops, I got him, and he's like, oh man, I won't, and he just kills. Just so many points where you're just like, you can't come back from this, Barry. This is, I know you want to be an actor, man, but you've gone way too far. You've killed so many people, it's so intense, but I do think the idea of him trying to be forgiven and trying to come back is really, really fascinating, even though he has probably gone too far. Overall, it's super, super fun that Barry's back, but also very, very intense and stressful, and yeah, just a classic HBO show. It's all dark and everyone's everyone's morally corrupt and it's all awful and it's a world of awful people. Really, really fun to be back. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment below. I'd love to know what everyone thought of the first episode of Barry.